Hey, what's going on? We're back with the last bit of what every NFL team needs in this 2025 offseason. Um, we've gotten a few re-signings in the last few days. We've gotten the announcement actually just happened. Matt Stafford staying in LA, so quarterback is solved over there like I kind of figured it would be. They still probably need a backup, but yeah, for now, we got all that knocked down. Um, Yeah, so we're gonna basically go over playoff teams here, um, and talk about what they need. We went through like the divisional round. Now we're in that, or no, the wild card round. Now we're in that divisional state. And keep in mind these teams aren't going to need a lot. Um, because there's a reason why you got to the divisional round. Hopefully my phone does not keep going off. But there's a reason you got yourself to that divisional round, and more likely than not, it is because you played pretty good football. But we're going to start with the Houston Texans anyway. They are the current reigning and defending AFC South champions 2 years in a row. Right now, I see an issue at wide receiver. Stephon Diggs, he is a free agent. Tank Dell, there's a very good chance that he just goes ahead and misses all of this season. And Nico Collins, he's playing really good football, but he's still going to need somebody on the opposite side. I don't know if John Mechie has been on that guy. John Mechie has not really he's played all right football, but he really hasn't proven to be the guy to be that number two receiver. Uh, they do have some offensive line issues for sure. You could literally argue 1A, 1B when it comes to these needs, because the Texans O line was the second in pressure this year. That is not good for a developing quarterback. CJ Stroud is a very talented quarterback. I've watched him play a lot of football at this point, and he's very, very good. Um, But the problem is you can't be second in pressures. Um, Obviously, they do need to get some help at wide receiver, but I would argue O line may be even more useful for them. Just kind of like in the Justin Herbert sweepstakes, is you can't really do anything when you're on your back, and they haven't been. They do have some defensive woes, but not many. Right, their biggest issue might be right in that front, which is defensive tackle. But their D ends are strong, their linebackers are strong, their secondary is very good. So really, the Texans just need to get a little bit more dialed in on the O line. Maybe a backup running back. Tight end, I think Dalton Schultz has done a phenomenal job over there, so I don't think you need to move on from him. Maybe get a blocking tight end. But overall, you don't have a lot of things that you need. Getting depth, really the big thing for the Texans, and I would probably argue 1A, 1B, which one's more important over there. Okay, LA Rams. So we just talked about Matthew Stafford. He is officially restructured. You need offensive line help. Your O line was getting beat up by the Eagles pretty well. You did a really good job against Jalen Carter up until that last series, and that is where you lost the football game and got eliminated. You do need some wide receivers to complement Puka Nacua, especially because we have been hearing that Cooper Kupp might be moved. They've always needed a tight end. Tyler Higbee just is not the guy to solve that issue. I believe they had. Did they give Everett this year? They might. I may be wrong on that completely. So bear, bear with me. But yeah, they need a tight end. And the crazy thing for me is that the Rams have done this for so long without a tight end because other than Calvin Johnson, one of Stafford's favorite targets back in Detroit was Brendan Pettigrew at times. And I know Golden Tate ended up taking that spot, Kenny Galladay, but there were times where he would love to throw that ball to Brandon Pettigrew, and it would get the job done for him. Um, their defense, I know I'm saying a lot. Hopefully, I'll fix that real quick, but their defense is fine. Their defense is playing really good football at times, and I think that they really have a lot to build on. I do think you could get a linebacker to complement Jared Verse, but I don't think it's like a completely humongous need. Finding yourself a middle linebacker could be really good, though, so that Jared could obviously always be that guy off the edge. Brandon Fisk obviously played really well as well. Yeah, you don't have a lot of things that you need, but, getting yourself some help in the backfield, to take care of those wide receivers is probably a big thing for the Rams. But keep in mind that defense is very young; it is developing, so maybe we're seeing. maybe last year is kind of what's to come, and we already know what we're going to get, right? Because the Rams getting some O line help, probably getting yourself a new number two. It kind of sounds like the Rams are kind of wanting to rebuild just a little bit, and if they can do that and still stay a competitive team, especially with the wide open NFC West, because I mean, really your only competition is the Seahawks. I mean, the Cardinals could be, they're getting better, but if the 49ers are going to be down and out, you need to strike while iron is hot. We're on to the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, O line was pretty rough, right? If Buffalo had a better pass rush, I don't think Lamar is able to go off like he did in the second half. Another thing that they really have an issue with is they don't have a lot of great receivers other than Zay Flowers, and when he was out, they really did not do a phenomenal job. And I could see that being a real big issue over there in Baltimore. The pass rush could use some help. Josh Allen seemed to have quite a bit of time. Their defense at times was really not on the good side, is how I would put it. The safety on the other side, I want to make sure I kind of fix that just real quick. There is one that is up. I believe it's Marcus Williams. If they re-sign him, that safety on the other side of Hamilton is really not a big need. But getting those depth pieces would be really big. I think they could use some help in the corner. Their defense was kind of rough at times. And obviously it was because of a brand new coordinator, so maybe they were just hitting their stride at the end of the season and they're doing fine now. So yeah, for them, getting you some pass rush, getting an offensive line really did keep Lamar in the pocket, and your offensive line did phenomenal at times. Ronnie Stanley, I believe, is probably not coming back, and that's honestly probably a good idea, especially with how many penalties he committed. You have Patrick Ricard to be that road grader for Derrick Henry, so yeah, you don't really have a lot of things that are needed. An O line, that's always going to be important. Shoring up those edges is going to be really good for the Ravens. They have a great center. Tyler Linderbaum's going to be phenomenal. And they played all right on the right side. I just could see them needing some help on that left side for the Ravens. And obviously, another big need is a hole at the wide receiver position. Detroit Lions. So, other than Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn leaving, the Lions are back to needing help in the defense. Now, keep in mind that this could be mostly because of injuries, but their pass rush was really bad against the Commanders. Jaden Daniels seemed to have all day to throw it. They did not seem to change from their man-to-man scheme into a zone coverage scheme. I know people have their thoughts on why that was the case, but I'm not going to jump into that bandwagon just yet. They need help on the pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson is a very good player, and he should be back. But with that injury coming back, you still need to find yourself another edge that's going to complement him just fine. Your secondary depth, your safeties have played great. Your corners are young, so maybe they develop into those corners that you need them to be. But I could see that being really problematic for Detroit. Their true slot receiver, I think Tim Patrick does a phenomenal job as wide receiver 4, but I do not think he is your wide receiver 3. You have JMO, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Eventually, you're going to have to pay both of these guys. Finding you a true slot that might even be able to take over, if that comes down to it, is going to be really important for Detroit. Offensive guard, really their O-line is very stout, very good. Panay Sewell, Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, these guys play really good football. Getting yourself an offensive guard, that's really your only issue, in my opinion, on the offensive line for the Detroit Lions. And I could see a D tackle. Ali McNeil has been very good, but I really do think that you need to get yourselves another D tackle, even if you want to run a 4-3 scheme and get yourself just a second D tackle to be alongside them. That could really help the Lions. Now, they don't have a lot of big issues. Their running backs are very good. Their tackles, offensive tackles, are very good. Their wide receivers are very talented, so getting yourself a slot is really that important. I think Sam Laporta has proven he's a very solid, reasonable, and dependable tight end. And you have a very good defense if it's healthy. But that's the issue, is you weren't healthy last year. So now you need to go figure out what you can do to fix that. Washington Commanders. We're back. Now, this was the biggest surprise of the NFL season, obviously, the Washington Commanders. And yeah, no, they did phenomenal. They made it to the NFC Championship when I don't think anybody believed that they would. Now, they were getting the ball run right down their throat and pounded like everybody thought that they should have done. I personally think the Lions should have stuck with the run game against them as well, but that just wasn't the case because, when the ball's getting flung all over the yard and you're just down by 2 scores, you just kind of, let it go. But defensive line is really going to be important. They were really bad against the run. They were really rough against it. Their O-line has a few more issues that needs to be panned out and fixed. But really, I think you look at this season with a grain of salt and say you're doing really good. Wide receiver help. Unfortunately, I just don't see Dwamie Brown or any of these guys being that guy alongside Terry McLaurin. So finding a second one would be very helpful for the Commanders. I also see a little bit of an issue with safety and the linebacker position. And, Bobby Wagner being your middle linebacker, he's getting up there in age, so maybe find yourself a new middle linebacker, or at least having a bridge guy that Bobby can teach would be really beneficial to the Commanders. But overall, I think that this team looks at this season and goes, you know what, we're doing pretty good right now. The Buffalo Bills. A big thing that I think Buffalo just needs is defense in general. I know Benford played pretty decent ball. Douglas, Hamlin, all these guys played decent ball. But their pass rush is just non-existent, man, and that is how you beat the Chiefs. Every single season, this team cannot beat the Chiefs, and the biggest issue is because they do not get themselves a good pass rush. Rousseau's okay. AJ Epineza, he's okay. You got to get to that quarterback. You just have to, and that's the thing that they struggle with constantly. So I could see Buffalo needing to get some help on the defensive side of the ball. Another thing I could see is wide receiver. I like Keon Coleman a lot, but he did have some struggles in his rookie year. Mari Cooper, he is a free agent, if I remember correctly. Khalil Shakir, I know they have brought him officially back, but I think you need to find yourself a true number one, even if that is bringing Cooper back, and letting him help develop Coleman, because I think Coleman has all the intangibles to be great. It's just going to take him a little bit of time and a little bit of seeing to get in there. All right, we're on to the Kansas City Chiefs. The O-line was really bad. That was really rough in the Super Bowl. But, being a team that got to the Super Bowl, there's not a lot of things that you need. Their O-line was pretty solid. Getting a true number one receiver is going to be important for them, especially if Hollywood Brown does not come back. Unfortunately, I don't think D-Hop is that guy. And Rashee Rice, we don't know what's going to happen with him, especially with the injury and then all his other stuff that was happening off the field. But their O-line was the one that was getting ripped apart. Patrick, when he doesn't have a lot of time, gets a little bit anxious and just starts chucking the ball into spots that he really would never usually do. So it's going to be incredibly important to get those guys for the Chiefs. I threw defensive line in here. They don't have a lot of holes on the defensive line, especially with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. But yeah, getting yourself another guy on that D inside could be really beneficial to Kansas City Chiefs. Last but not least, we are on the Philadelphia Eagles. So I know Dawson's up for free agency. You don't have a lot of things you need help at, right? But slot receiver might be one of them. Now, I did not put this on here because I was forgetting about free agency. You are possibly going to need some help on the defensive side because Sweat, Bond, and a couple other guys are up for free agency. If you can find a way to bring them back, I don't think outside linebacker help is a problem that you need. Now, you could probably use a little bit of help on the edges, but I don't think that's a complete and huge deal for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another one, Jake Elliott, I know he's been consistent. He's been very good for a long time, but this last season he just was not good at certain points, and it probably is going to be important to get yourself a kicker. But I really think the Eagles, their biggest thing is just continuing what they continue on. If they can get these guys to stay, hold their confidence to each other, and hold on, I think this team's going to be really, really solid. Now, they did have an OC leave, so that does make things a little bit harder, but I really do think the Philadelphia Eagles have something there, and I think they're going to be just fine, to be honest with you. And alright, that's going to be it for what every NFL team needs in this off season. Plan on coming back with some combine reports next couple days because I have to actually watch the combine. That's going to be the important part of that. And then we will probably start doing a mock draft after the combine if I can figure out how to do it. But that is the plan from now. I just want to make sure that you all know that I am trying to do this and be consistent, but, trying to find the time and do all that stuff. Always the hardest part of this thing. But either way, I do appreciate every single one of you for stopping by. We are going to be streaming on twitch.tv as soon as this probably goes live. So if you do want to go ahead and check it out, I would appreciate that so very much. Thank you if you haven't, or thank you for stopping by today. Hopefully you will like, comment, and subscribe and come by again. We're happy to have you here.